Now I'm going to talk to you about the exciting world of FTP. Here are the obligatory class objectives. This presentation ties in with the objective of creating and maintaining your own website on a server, as well as the objective of understanding front-end and back-end components of information technology to deepen your understanding of information provision. After this class, you won't be IT experts, but you should be able to understand what a server is and does. You'll know lots more than you ever wanted to know about the Bama server, and you should be able to log on and off of it, navigate your way around to the website files, get your files from your computer to the Bama server, and delete them from the server and replace them as need be, such as when you are updating your website. So, what on earth is FTP? First of all, before I tell you what it is, I must tell you what it is not. FTP is not a motor oil treatment. Oh no, it's not that at all. That would be STP. It is also not a floral delivery service. When you want real flowers delivered, you don't call FTP. That would be FTD. What FTP is, however, is a file transfer protocol. The first FTP standard was published in April 1971 as RFC, or Request for Comments, 114 in a project being worked on at MIT in my home state of Massachusetts. I'm not sure what the first 113 requests for comments were about, but the 114th one was about file transfers from one computer to another, and that is when FTP was born. What we need to know about FTP is that it is the way that files from your computer, there on the left, can be seen by the guy sitting at the computer on the right. Without FTP, you can see the files on your computer, but without a direct cable from your computer to his, or some other way of getting those files, the guy sitting on the right can't see them, and he's sad. FTP may sound like something mysterious, but even if you've never created a website and transferred it to a server before, you may already be using FTP. If you have ever attached a file to an email, that file, as well as the email you are sending, gets sent to a server somewhere before your recipient gets it. The same thing happens when you upload pictures to Facebook, or even update your status, or upload videos to YouTube, submit tax forms online, or send a file from your computer to anywhere else. Unless you are directly wired to someone else's computer, your file gets uploaded to a server before it is seen by the recipient of your email or other file. We are back to our cartoon. Get used to this cartoon because I will be using it throughout this presentation to give you an idea of how FTP works. FTP works as a client-server protocol. That file cabinet in the middle represents the server. Just like a big file cabinet with folders and papers and documents in it, its main purpose is to sit there and hold files. Both you, the one uploading the file to the server, and the guy on the right, who is downloading the file from the server, are clients. The server serves the clients. Clients are the ones creating and receiving the files. Likewise, if the guy on the right wants you to see his files, he can upload them to the server too. So that was just a generic client-server diagram. Replace the generic file server with the Bama server. That is exactly what is happening with your website. You will upload or copy the file to the Bama server, and the guy on the right, or the rest of us and the whole world, will be able to see it when we type in the URL of your website. So, how does this happen? You upload the files using a file transfer program such as Secure Shell for PCs, Fetch for Macs, or the one I will be talking about, FileZilla, which works on both PCs and Macs. This is what we call back-end computing. The guy on the right uses a web browser, such as Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, Google Chrome, etc., to be able to look at the file. That is what we call front-end computing. Back-end is behind the scenes, and front-end is what the end user experiences, which is what we experience when we are looking at your website. When we look at a website, we don't know how it got from its computer of origin to the server, and we don't really care. All we know is what we see on the screen. And since the guy on the right now can see, through his browser, the files you have uploaded to the server, he is happy. However, the Bama server, and other file servers like it, don't understand normal everyday language like we speak. In fact, they speak a strange language. The server doesn't run on Windows, and it doesn't run on a Mac operating system. It runs on a completely different and actually pretty old operating system. It is called Unix. Unix is a perfect operating system for multiple users, and so file servers tend to run on Unix. And in the old days, like when I took my first computing courses, in order to do anything on a computer, you had to actually know how to understand Unix. You had to type in long commands to get the computer to save a file, to print out a page, or to do any kind of computation. Also in the old days, you had to go to a special building where the computer was housed to use a computer. Then, as computers got smaller, you go to a special room to use the computer. Then, when we began to have computers at home, you'd go sit at the computer desk. Then, with the advent of laptops, you could move the computer around. Now, with cell phones and other portable devices, instead of you going to the computer goes with you. So back to Unix. If you can't speak Unix, how do your files get from your computer to the server so others can see them? Well, guess what? Both the file transfer programs like FileZilla and the browsers like Firefox, Internet Explorer, etc. understand Unix. They act like translators. You use the Windows or Mac operating system to speak to FileZilla, and FileZilla speaks Unix to the server. The server speaks Unix to the browser, and the browser then speaks Windows or Mac to the end user. And we are all happy. So I'm going to talk about FileZilla. But if you have a different file transfer program, the principles are the same. The screen may look slightly different, but you will be using the same information to log on, navigate to your files, and copy your files from your computer to the server. When you first start up FileZilla, you will see a screen that looks similar to this. On the left, you will see the file folders that are on my desktop. On the right, where you should see the file folders that are on the Bama server, you don't see anything. Can you figure out why? Okay, on the top, you will see 4 places to enter the host, username, password, and port. I will go to the next slide and talk more about them. To log into the Bama server, you will fill in these spaces. The server is bama.ua.edu. The username is your MyBama ID. The password is your password. The port that I have used has been 22, but sometimes they change it to 21. So if it doesn't connect, switch the port number. Then you hit the Quick Connect, and it should connect to the server. Once you connect, some things change. Right under where you entered the connection information, you get a little session log that gives you some information about what is going on while you are connected. If you look on the right side of the screen, where there used to be nothing, now there are folders and files showing. That is what is in your little corner of the Bama server. You want all of your website files to be sitting in the public_HTML folder. So click on that and open it. If you have files sitting in there, they will show up. Otherwise, the first time you go in there, it should be empty. I happen to have a bunch of things sitting in there. In order to transfer files from your computer to the server, you find your files on the left side, just as if you were looking for them on your computer. And then click and drag each file from the left side to the right side, and then the file should show up on the right side. An important thing to note is that if you have created subfolders for your website on your own computer, like you put all of your pictures for your website in a folder called Pictures, and, for example, in order for the pictures to show up, you have to type in the subfolder name, you also must create a subfolder on the server under the public_HTML and drag each of those pictures into the subfolder. Otherwise, your website won't show up right. After you are done transferring files, you want to have a browser open and type in the address to your website. If you called your main page index, the address will be http://bama.ua.edu/tilde, that's that squiggly thing, your Bama ID, or http://bama.ua.edu tilde your Bama ID / index.html, or HTM if you created the file with the extension of HTM. If something is wrong, you can then check and see if all the files transferred, if they're all in public_HTML, or if they are in a subfolder if they need to be. If you are updating your website, you can right-click on a file on the right side, delete it, and then drag over a new one from the left side to the right side. Then check it with a web browser. When you are done with all of your file transfers, you should log out of the server. The reason for that is if you just X out of the screen and then realize you need to go back in and you haven't logged out, there may be a delay in your ability to get back in, as the system will still think you are logged in. To log out, on the menu, click on Server and then click on Disconnect. After you are logged out, the information on the right goes away. And again, why is that? Once you have tried this, you may find that you've done everything right, but you get error messages saying you don't have permission to access the server, or you may get another error message denying you have access to the server. In that case, or if you have other problems accessing the server, I have provided the phone number and email address of the IT service desk, so you can contact them and resolve any problems in that area. So now that you have taken this ride with me into FTP land, you should be able to understand why we have servers and what we do with them, and how to navigate your way around the Bama server in order to get your website up there and updated.